Hello and thank you for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozugbakun. Today on the program, Labour suspend protests, extend dialogue as President Tinubu promises that Port Harcourt refinery will be ready by December. And later on the show, former governors Oyetola, Lalong, Matawale, Bagudu, Gaidam, and 14 others make President Tinubu's second ministerial list. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Paul Dada. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Let's begin on a rather sad note with the deaths of a medical doctor, Buhari Diasco, in an elevator accident in the General Hospital on Lagos Island. The state government has set up a panel to investigate the tragic incident. In the statements, the state government said it received the news of the doctor's death with shock, noting that the inquiry by a team of officials from the State Ministry of Health, the Lagos State Health Service Commission, the Lagos State Safety Commission, and the Certified Lift and Vertical Transportation Equipment Experts has commenced. This is quite unfortunate. This lady went to Babcock University and going through housemanship and another promising doctor for her to die the way he died out of, I don't know, maybe carelessness or negligence on the part of the management of that hospital.
Yes, and it's really unfortunate. Nobody deserves to die in that manner. If an equipment that is frequently used in an hospital has some issues, a responsible hospital management has to quickly address the problem, fix it before certifying it fit for people to use. But if people complained, because that's what the doctors are saying, that they had complained about that lift for some time, nothing happened. People were just using it. And she had used the lift, the purpose of going to the ground floor to pick food that was sent to her through a dispatch rider. And then the lift fell from the 10th floor. No one deserves to die in that for one. I can understand why the doctors are very angry and resorted to go
on strike.
At the General Hospital on Lagos Island Maternity Hospital, the hospital they call Baby Factory.
Honestly,
because there is nowhere else where children are delivered like that hospital. And of course the Masses Street Children's Hospital as well. They've gone on strike now out of anger over what has happened.
Busy facility like that.
Accidents happen. But the point that we are making is, if there is a fault complained about, you have to move quickly to address that fault. You don't have to wait until the unwanted happens. So this is what has happened. No parent will spend so much money to train a child. The child begins to work in a public hospital, and this happens. No one wants to see this sort of thing happen.
Very painful for the parents.
It's extremely painful for everyone. You can imagine if it's your own child that was in the lift. It could happen to anybody. It could just happen to anybody. It could even happen to the senior management of the same hospital.
Yes.
Because when calamity will strike, nobody can tell. We just have to do our best to ensure that this sort of things do not happen. While we appeal to the doctors to get back to work, because going on strike, yes, you are sending a message. But at the end of the day, innocent people will suffer. The children that they bring to that hospital will suffer. The women who need care will suffer. So The Lagos State government says it's investigating this matter. I believe and I expect that heads should roll.
Yeah.
But I don't know what really is the problem with Nigerian officials, even at federal level. They are reluctant to let heads roll. Where people, out of negligence, cause this sort of thing to happen, heads should roll. That's my view. And I'm being very objective on this. I believe that somebody must be punished for this.
We don't have maintenance culture.
Yes.
It's another thing to acquire the lifts, strata, or facilities and everything. Go to most of the public institutions, you see dilapidated infrastructure across the board. There's no way to maintain things. So this is even life-threatening.
Exactly. And our lack of maintenance culture gets us burnt this way. The lift, the condition of the lift signaled a disaster waiting to happen. People had complained. They said that the lift ordinarily should be able to take 8 people, but 2 people were only able to enter most times, and it will stop. Sometimes they had to use their hand to open it at some point. The lift will not, the door will not open automatically or close automatically and all of that. And then complaints had been made. I'm very sure that it wasn't that the management wanted someone to die. I mean, they weren't set out to get someone killed. It was just negligence. The negligence that is characteristic of Nigerian officials, people in public service. And like Jide said, heads have to roll, But I think we should just have a culture that prevents, as much as possible, disaster. Instead of now saying, okay, let's impose sanctions on people who hurt. Yes, there's a place for sanctions, but some of these things are not necessary. If we take care to avoid these things, then there will be no need for an investigative team or a probe team coming up to investigate. But let them do their work and let people who are culpable be punished.
Okay. Never underestimate the power of dialogue in solving problems, because even wars begin and end on the negotiation table. The Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC, have agreed to suspend their nationwide protests and return to the negotiating table with the federal government. This followed President Bola Tinubu's promise to fix the refineries, a key demand of Labour. Speaking at the meeting with the leadership of the organized Labour at the State House, Abuja, President Tinubu gave his commitment to them that the Port Harcourt refinery will start production by December 2023. Julie, when we saw the action yesterday, and we discovered that the action did not have the necessary bites and traction, so Labour did not have any choice than to go for negotiation. And immediately I saw them at the villa, I knew that, look, they were going to do something about that action. They couldn't have even afford, to sustain it.
No, it didn't look like something that...
It failed ab initio.
Yes, because, look, they tried to get a lot of the workers to join the protest. Yes, it didn't look like a real strike, you understand? But they tried to get workers to join the protest so that they can have a much larger crowd and a semblance of disruption can happen. But people continue to do their work. People are not ready to join the strike, because whether we like it or not, that speech that the president made went down well with so many people.
Yeah.
The speech was full of promise. Yes, that was the first time that a president would directly be talking to the people and addressing their concerns. And it was far-reaching. Some of the things that we told the president to do, like spending the money with the what's it called?
That's some people's dinner.
Yes, they go home. It's like that. Some, it is, what's it called? Noodles.
Yes.
It is noodles.
Do that.
So they have them like that. And these are hardworking people. They deserve to be encouraged. So the economy, and they are in position to also employ 1 or 2 persons or 3 persons of their own. We suggested this as alternative to the 8,000 naira that was going to be given to 12 million families. So that speech, and he wasn't stuttering, he made this point. The Tinubu of today, the difference between Tinubu that they were making fun of during the electioneering season, the Tinubu that they call Bala Blue and the rest, the Tinubu that they composed a derisive song, you know?
Popular one.
Yes. Baba we know where they shouted Miloko. That Tinubu is not the Tinubu that you are seeing now.
Definitely.
They've been looking for sound bites that they can hold on to. Since he returned from France, the fluidity has been self-evident. They can't point at those errors, and he doesn't need to read from any script. He just speaks his mind. They are wondering. Somebody said, did the man scam us? Was it not the same? They can't understand.
Somebody said it was deliberate.
Who would have been deliberate? You say that who will have done that deliberately? The way the man was flogging his body at that time. Even we that we are young, some people will go to Abuja today. Because he traveled to Abuja today, he will not go to work that same day. And he went by here. They don't have the energy. Now, that man will do 3 trips, 3 different states to go and campaign. It is so physically exerting. It's punishing on the human body. And when that happens, and you don't get enough sleep, there are certain things that you say that you won't even know when it comes out of it. They don't want to believe that was the reason. Now they can't complain. They can't find those sound bites anymore.
They want to believe.
Every time now they open their eyes wide looking for those sound bites. Those sound bites are
nothing for them.
Nothing again. So that's it. You cannot doubt the fact that he has his ideas about how we can move the economy forward. That's what he was telling them. And we told Labour, we said, look, commit yourself to dialogue. It's not everything that you resolve with strike. If you go and read some of what Ajero was saying, before now, you think by today Nigeria will have collapsed totally. There was nothing he didn't call this government. He said, no, we will not take part in any negotiations with them because the negotiations are meant to fail, that they have no plan, they have come on. I mean, show some maturity. Today now, by themselves, they said, oh, just because of one promise that the president made, the Port Harcourt refineries will be ready by December. Now, let's even tell ourselves the truth. Marketers have said if the refineries work and they provide the local refineries, if we get them working, they will reduce the pump price by 70 naira. Yes, no one should think that because the refineries are working, it will lead to a crash in oil prices. People should be told so that they can lower their expectations. Whether it's Dangote refinery that is working or our own refineries, it will not lead to a crash in oil prices. So Nigerians need to know what the advantage we'll get from that is we can save some of that forex that we are committing to
reduce the pressure on
refined fuel.
Forex.
Yes, so that people who need forex, a good number of them can access forex. That will help us and will help the value of our currency. But to think that it will simply crash prices, no. So it's a good thing that we are hearing from them, because the president also promised them that, look, the minimum wage will be addressed quickly. We have to state that before even Labour began to talk about minimum wage, Asiwaju's first ever meeting with the governors, the elected governors, he told them, this is the time for us to do something about the minimum wage, that we must give them a living wage. He said he made that promise. So why can't they believe him that he will do what he has promised? Yes, things are a bit slow, but it's understandable. It will take some time before those vehicles that they've ordered come in, but there's no way that if government does what we have been advising them to do, build service centers where people can at ease convert their engines to CNG-fired engines. Honestly, because somebody told me that it could cost up to 400,000. Nigerians don't want to be saddled with that. If you really want to ease the pain, government has to set up those service stations and ensure that people are not exploited. It is important because every debacle we face, every big problem that we face as a nation, some people are thinking of how to make money. Yeah. When NIN came, they were making money out of it. There is nothing. When what was it called? The Naira repainting that the worst CBN governor in our history came up with, people were being exploited. So government must make sure that even in setting up those service centers, that they don't use it to exploit the ordinary Nigerians who simply want to convert their cars to gas-fired engines that will ensure that they spend much less.
I think this is the time for the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress to sit down with government and fashion something that is going to be all-encompassing. If you look at the population, the number of workers we have in the country, you discover that, look, it's less than 5% of the entire population. I think now government should look at what we address, we touch everybody.
That is what we would have expected Labour to do at this time, before they went on strike. Not everybody supported, not all Nigerian workers supported that strike. I know when I shared the link to...
Or protest.
When I shared the link...
Call it protest.
Or the protest, or they call it protest.
So that the court will not cover.
Yes. So when I shared the link of news about the protest, a professor friend of mine who lectures in university just said, no. He responded on WhatsApp. And that tells you that so many Nigerian workers were not in support. Not at the time that the president had even given a speech. After he gave that speech, I thought, I listened, I think I read that speech twice or more. And I said, this speech, very persuasive. You understand? So nobody denies the fact that there are pains now. I mean, nobody's going to undermine the pains that Nigerians feel. We're all in it together. We all feel it, one way or the other. So the thing is, every time it can't just be strike and strike and strike. So what Labour needs to do is to continue to dialogue and then make sure that they can also come up with more suggestions. They make sure that government implements the promises. But one thing I would even like to say here is that, I would also encourage government to pay attention to making sure that the funds that are released are used for the purpose for which they were. When you say you release these billions, what about corrupt officials that siphon some of those funds? So we should be able to take care of all of that, because the Nigerian thing, we keep hearing they've committed funds to this and to that. So we expect that there should also be mechanisms in place to prevent corrupt people from diverting some of these funds into their private pockets. It's very, very important. Very, very important. Because many times we have beautiful ideas, but implementation sometimes is the problem. So I hope it's not going to happen this time.
As a friend of mine was saying that the banks, you have to keep an eye on the banks, because there's no way you can disburse all of these monies. You can't even do this thing without the banks.
Definitely.
They have to, make it easier for people to access the funds. And that's why NANS, for example, is exerted, because as sure you said, it's going to remove the restrictions to accessing that student loan. If we don't find a way to simplify the process for people, banks will just simply be exploiting people and making money out of these things. Some people, even before they get into the bank, they will make them to part with some money. Nigerians always want to exploit an unfortunate situation. We don't care about our brothers and sisters as long as we are able to make money. If a place is getting really bad, as long as some people are making their billions from it, they won't be bothered. Look at the subsidy thing. You can't bring up removal of subsidy before some people are making money off it. You can't bring up the idea of breaching the, exchange rates convergence in the presence of people who are regularly collecting collecting dollars at 460 and taking it to black market to sell at more than 700. It is the kind of business that people do that turn them to billionaires overnight. And fellow Nigerians who are hardworking, they will be looking at them as never-do-wells. So I'm excited that one is gone. And I'm very excited that even the attempt in the, I think, was it House of Reps or Senate, the attempt by somebody who moved the motion that they should put that policy on hold. The attempt was defeated. It has to be defeated because ultimately it will bear fruit. So we just hope for the best.
And when you want to look at if at the end of the day we have consensus within the federal government and the trade union Congress and the Nigeria Labour Congress, a lot of people will say they want to see even the non-formal sector benefiting from this.
Yes, and of course there's a provision for them already. That's why you are talking about nano businesses. That's your welder, that's your plumber that comes to fix when you have plumbing problem in your water system, your toilet, and all of that. Maybe Baba, all of those. But
organizers.
The organizers, yes, the mechanics. Well, I'm very much, I'm excited about that. In fact, that is one of the most exciting part of the speech for me, because when you talk about MSMEs, they don't think of them usually. No, they don't think of them usually. You understand? So we now have, I like that term, nano business. The very small businesses, they constitute a significant percentage of the working population of Nigerians. So this is how they can feel the impact of government. 50,000 naira can make a whole lot of difference in a lot of people's lives. And that's the truth. Like you mentioned, Meshai, how much is their turnover, And some of them, they fold up their businesses.
Egg, sugar,
exactly, because exactly. So the informal sector is being reached. Very, very important. But one more thing I want to say here is that I'm also excited that some state governments are complementing the effort of the federal government. But many times, all eyes are just on the federal government. I know the federal government, it takes the pace, makes the policies and all of that. Another thing that excited me was what the Lagos State governor did. Slashing the bus fares, the Lamata buses and all of that by 50%.
The public bus drivers, or what do we describe them? The
commercial
bus drivers. They are refusing to.
Yes, I was going to say. I've noted. I noted.
So that the governor would know.
Yeah.
And they move far more people than.
I talked to a number of them. No, I said, but I talked to a number of them.
So if those ones don't slash it, we won't have the impact of that.
I talked to a number of them actually.
Will not show.
They were saying, have they reduced fuel price? So if they reduce ticket price, what about fuel price? Well, I think MC Oluomo should. I think they said they're going to set up a monitoring and a compliance team and all of that. They should take note of areas that their people are not complying.
Lagos should make moves to acquire buses. As the federal government is taking those steps, even before the 3,000 buses that they are going to share comes, Lagos should take steps to acquire their own, because Lagos is like is a big economic power, and it should behave like one. When they came up with the train the other day, we praise them because that's the sort of thing we expect them to be doing. So now that our people are going through pain, Lagos should not wait until the federal government brings in those 3,000 vehicles. They too should take steps, bring in their own, and get them converted to CNG so that the fares will be very low.
All right, we'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this break.
In today's world, our lifestyle, both at work and at play, depends on connectivity. Our connectivity depends on the devices that make it possible, and these devices depend on electric power. When power fails, our life shrinks, our work drops, and our joy dips. JRB Solar Energy Systems are here to ensure that we enjoy uninterruptible power, uninterruptible joy. Whether you're running a business, an institution, or just a home you return daily to rest, JRB has got you covered. No project is too big for our super digital inverters, long-lasting batteries, and efficient solar panels. Go, dream on, change your world. JRB Solar Inverters, batteries, solar panels, solar street lights and more. Telephone 0906 752 1111. Email sales@jrbsolar.com. With JRB, the sun's gonna shine on everything you do.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Journalist Hangout, and I still have Babajide Kolade, Tutor John Paul Dadan in the studio. And Jide, we're still talking about this palliative. And in the present broadcast, the president reeled out so many incentives. And we said yesterday that if the implementation is properly monitored and it gets to its destination, it will go a long way in touching the lives of people.
That is my biggest concern, and I think that every Nigerian should be worried, because when you look at what happened with Anchor Borrowers program, when you look at some of what has happened with NISAL is also under the CBN.
Okay.
People who pay money, they will tell them they are going to give them credit, they may not get it. People will lobby those who have genuine farmers. They will not get it. As I said before, people are forming fake cooperatives just for the purpose of accessing Anchor Borrowers funds. And that's why at the end of the day, in terms of repayment of loans, Anchor Borrowers program is one of the most useless programs in Nigerian history. The point they were saying, oh, it's because they didn't allow us to get to our farms.
The normal people that
because of
security.
Insecurity. It was at that point that the then CBN governor,
Murphy,
or the suspended CBN governor, was even begging bandits that, look, if you want money, we'll give you. Please let our people get to the farm, because the level of repayment of the loan was an embarrassment. At every point, people were refusing to pay. And to show you that it was such a monumental failure, all such interventions are meant to bring down prices. If government spends over $1 billion to support farmers, what is the goal? If it cannot bring down prices, and with the program in full flow, prices of rice, for example, cassava, all of those people were going up. So what have you achieved? If you cannot bring down prices, if you can't cause prices to go down, then the policy has failed. So whichever way you look at it, today I was talking with someone who works in the Bank of Agric, and he said, Jide, you say it as it is. This is the problem. Anchor Borrowers didn't achieve the aim. We just threw money down the drain. It didn't achieve the aim. I'm not, in terms by the law of averages, I'm not saying, oh, it didn't achieve at all. There are some people benefited from it, but by the law of averages, it didn't achieve the aim. And it also needs to be investigated.
Honestly.
It needs to be, and including NISAL. NISAL. You heard that word from me again. NISAL, one of the agencies under CBN, also deserves to be thoroughly investigated because NISAL itself is the abattoir of dreams of a lot of our agripreneurs. Because why won't you give credit to people who genuinely need it? Instead, it will get to those who can offer money or they don't. If we were talking about the matter of even management of the exchange rate. Banks, you know what the banks do. Banks will come to you and say, "Don't you want to travel?" It is your BTA that they are after.
Yes.
It is your BTA, and bank staff will be colluding with people just so that they can cream off some money from the BTAs that you are entitled to when you travel. So there is no policy of government, and Asiwaju has to know this. He has to bear this in mind. If he wants his government to succeed, he has to bear it in mind that implementation is the key. Ensuring that people do not exploit an unfortunate situation to milk Nigerians. I can tell you, if we don't shine our eyes, as that musician sang, the Ajegunle boy, Nigerians will be ripped off massively with all of these efforts that government is making. A lot of this won't get to our people. The poorest of the poor, they will suffer. They will travel down to where they've been told to come and collect money and they will not collect it.
Yeah, it's a serious problem.
Paul, finally on this, best way to go about?
I think we just have to love our country. So many people don't love this country. Just have to love our country. And this has been the problem. Even not only in this dispensation, remember Taxation and People's Bank, how it failed. Even humanitarian effort, you disburse money to refugee camp. There was a time I did a story many years ago. I went to interview someone, a prostitute. She said, "Look, I was in Oru camp. Hunger wanted to kill me because when officials were going to give us certain many bags of rice, let's say maybe 200 bags of rice, maybe they only release 15. When hunger wanted to kill us, we left the camp. The same thing is happening at the IDP camp.
Took to prostitution.
This is happening at the IDP camp. What is wrong with us?
Everywhere.
Why is it always like this? That people want to manipulate.
Let me tell you something that was happening in Maiduguri. We discussed it on this program, I think around 2016 or so. There are many people who are actually animals in human skin. They give rice to people in IDP camps. They deliberately do not cook the rice thoroughly so that many of the IDPs won't be able to eat it. They will now go and feed it to their livestock.
So they prefer their livestock to human beings.
They will not cook it. They won't cook it until it's done. It will be hard, and a lot of those people will not want to eat. So they will now go and feed their livestock. This is what people are doing. There was even a time when soldiers and police, I don't know if you remember, when soldiers and police clashed over rice meant for IDP camp. If you Google that story, you see. They clashed over rice meant for IDPs.
Shame of a nation.
I don't know the greed of our people, and they are the same people who open their mouths and say our government is bad. It's a useless government. It's a good for nothing government. Oh, these people, they don't love us. You are worse than the people that you are criticizing. In your heart, you can't even show mercy. And every Sunday you carry your Bible, you say you are going to mosque. Friday, before the Afa speaks into his megaphone to announce, you are at the door. You have removed your.
So we give tithes from the proceeds
of
your
your slippers. Whereas you are a rogue.
They will give tithes, make seed payment from proceeds of.
Nothing in your conduct suggests that you are Christ-like. Nothing in your conduct suggests that you listen to the preachment of Muhammad. You do not love Muhammad in any way. You do not like his ways. But you want people to believe that you are a great Muslim. Later on, you go and build a mosque.
Exactly.
That you can deceive God.
You can deceive God.
You want to bribe God with a mosque. Oh.
Or you buy generator for your church.
Remember that boy now? He stole money. From a big time hotel here. We don't want to mention the name. You know, we used to,
I know the story.
We are the same company before now. The guy took the money that he stole from the hotel where he was working, and he took it to go and buy generator for his church. And the pastor will say,
a popular church.
Oh, yes. I know a popular with a good-looking
pastor.
All right. The long wait for the names of those who will form the cabinet of President Bola Tinubu is over. The president has forwarded the remaining ministerial nominees to the Senate for screening and confirmation. Some of the names include former governors Adegboyega Oyetola of Osun State, Bello Matawale of Zamfara State, Atiku Bagudu of Kebbi State, Ibrahim Gidam of Yobe State, and Solomon Lalong of Plateau State. 14 other nominees have familiar faces like Eneki Lokobiri and Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi. The Senate President said screening of the new ministerial nominees will start on Friday, the 4th of August. Jide, I saw that list yesterday. It was during this time yesterday that we had to just go to the Senate President to read out the lists. And
Yes.
28 names released initially, and now we have 19. So altogether, for the first time, I think since 1999, we have 47.
Yes.
47 ministers.
People have asked me, why should it be Tinubu in the season when we are saying they should reduce the
Cost.
cost of governance? We'll come up with 47 ministers. That is 5 more than what we've had since 1999. Because what Obasanjo used to do was, okay, every state will have its ministers, and then each of the geopolitical zones will get one each. So that way, some states will have 2. Some states, like big states like Kaduna, like Kano, they will have 2. It's always been like that. But the way it is now, even Ogun State has 3. Ogun State has 3.
Wow.
More than the biggest states in Nigeria, and Ogun is not among the biggest states in Nigeria. So it's not even, it's not as big as Kwara, it's not as big as Kogi, and those ones are not even among the biggest. So the president, I've been told, intends to create new ministries. The new ministries would help him achieve his aim of achieving real growth and development and an increase in the GDP of our country. Watch out for Ministry of Information being broken into 2, with one with the tourism part of it, culture and tourism part of it, standing alone, and we'll now have something like Ministry of Information and Orientation, National Orientation, because everyone talks about the fact that, look, the issue, we need a national rebirth. We need a national rebirth. We talk about our people not loving the country. There is a need, and people always point at the National Orientation Agency that we need it to do a lot more. This is the season. And I want to believe that by breaking it into 2, the aim will be achieved. You also look at entertainment, for example. Entertainment is a gold mine.
Nigeria?
But we have not explored it sufficiently. Maybe now, even the way the president is thinking, and with a minister in charge, we'll be able to harness the potential of our young people.
They are making exploits all over the world.
Them, you know, Burna Boy was saying the other day that, that he wants to build a very good, a big studio here, Nigeria, world-class studio, where young artists can have their recording and all that, that will have all the equipment. Look at Wheezy filling an 800 capacity venue. How did he do it? Because I was reading, except if it's exaggerated. That's the potential.
They're breaking all sorts of records in America.
Yes.
Burna Boy and Whiskey.
Madison Square Garden, selling out at Madison Square Garden, going everywhere and doing well. So there is a lot of potential that we need to explore, and I think that in breaking some of those ministries, this is what he wants to achieve. And I've also been told that there won't be a minister of state anymore. Each of the ministers will have his own portfolio, not a minister of state, because the constitution does not recognize a minister as being superior to another. The constitution does not recognize that. But when you call someone minister of state, look at power, for example. You give the one who is so-called substantive minister so much power, and the other one is just feeding off crumbs. He's in charge of rural electrification and other little things. There is no way that air of superiority will not be there. So what the president has done this time is the Northwest has 10 ministers. The Southwest has 9. The North Central has 8. The Northeast has 8. South has 7, and Southeast has 5. Now, when you look at the voting pattern for BAT, Northwest gave him 30%. Southwest gave him 25.9%. North Central gave him 20%. Northeast gave him 13.5%. South gave him 9.1%. And Southeast gave him 1.5%. So even in the apportioning, if I can use that word, the grammarians won't fight me. Even in the apportioning of ministerial positions, you can see that the pattern of voting reflected. Or the pattern of voting has been rewarded. Northwest, Southwest, North Central. It was in that order that they gave him the votes. The Northwest gave him the most votes, followed by the Southwest. So this is the thing. And when you look at some of the people, I saw Shuaibu Abubakar Audu, son of Abubakar Audu, the late governor of Kogi. I can see Abelo playing politics there, because Shuaibu contested for the governorship, the primaries of the APC, and lost to Ododo. He went to court. After a while, he said he was not going to continue with the case. Yes. Came to meet the governor, and the rest is history. Now, he's been nominated. So you can see, and he has his eyes on votes from the north, from Kogi East. So he's chosen this person. I can see in the November 11 election was in the mind of the governor of Kogi State.
For doing this.
Yes, because I believe he nominated him.
Paul, looking at the list of the ministers, a lot of people will tell you that, look, this is not inspiring. They felt that it's going to be changed. They felt that they were expecting Bola Tinubu from what they heard about him in 1999, that they brought in technocrats, he had a compact cabinet, he brought in eggheads, he brought in everybody, that these are a bunch of politicians, these are people that they've not really effected change in our country. That former governor this, governor that, bringing people that lost election, yes, bringing them back into his cabinet. What do you think Bola Tinubu was thinking?
Honestly, I'm unable to share the views of those who think the list is uninspiring. I think people need to live up to certain realities. Okay, it is politics. It's a political system. Those who work for the president must be rewarded somehow. And I think it's too early for us to start saying that they will not work on. When you say politicians, you want technocrats. You are talking as if some of these politicians are people that they pick from the road, people who probably didn't go to school. Who are the economists among them? Atiku Bagu is an economist, for example. Lalong is a lawyer with an LLM. You understand what I'm trying to say? What I see, my own impression is that this is a blend of politicians and non-politicians. You understand? And that is the way, that's what I would have expected it to be. In the APC, I've heard APC people complain that the reward system in APC is very poor. I've seen people complain that even the The wife of the former president was complaining that the people that we don't see during the campaign of President Buhari, they all came around and they had the one controlling, the machinery of government. She made that complaint. There is no way in a political system like ours, you will not have people being rewarded. Some of those ex-governors are talking about where some of the people that said the power must shift to the south. Some of them were with the president, they were going everywhere. You understand? I think what is necessary is for us to just look at them. We will watch them, how they perform in office. If they do well, fine. If they don't do well, we will complain.
So it's about rewarding system.
No. It is part.
That Nigeria is not ready to change.
No. It's part of the fact. It's a factor we cannot neglect.
No, the thing is, let me help out. You see, there are 47 ministers, have you?
Yeah.
Former governors are 9 of them. There's no way that we can arithmetically say that governors dominated the list. And I've said before that when you look at some of the governors, you may not like an Umahi, for example. Can say all kinds of things. They say he's arrogant, full of himself. That is his choice. But he performed in it.
Very well.
You must give that to him. And when you see the work that he has done, because I was there, I see him as both a technocrat and as a politician. You look at someone like El-Rufai, you can't say El-Rufai is a politician. He's the opposite of what a politician should be. El-Rufai does not believe in diplomacy, mincing words and all that. You are going to see a clear difference between the man who has succeeded him and himself in terms of approach. El-Rufai, first class, scored a first class in quantity survey. The way he thinks is revolutionary in many ways. You have to give that to him. You may not like him. So you can't say that that kind of person does not have the mindset of even a technocrat. Because when Obasanjo and Atiku brought them into government at that time, they were technocrats. Now, you look at Atiku Bagudu. Yes, in the state, people say he did not really perform, and even in the election, he lost terribly. He couldn't even defend his ward. Lost in his ward, defeated in the senatorial district, lost in Kebbi. But when you hear him speak, he was clearly one of the most cerebral governors of his generation. And I don't say things like this often. You listen to Atiku Bagudu, brilliant man. Asiwaju, he once was a keynote speaker at Asiwaju's Koloko. I'm sure the man had kept him in mind since then, just looking for the auspicious time to make use of him. So among some of the people that the governors are people who can also be seen in another light as technocrats. And technocrats will not win elections for you. Politician comes into office already thinking of the next election. Asiwaju is not a fool. If the politicians who work for him, he did not find a way to reward some of them, they will wait for him.
Exactly.
And they will serve him breakfast. They will wait for him. This is the way of politicians. So you have to strike the balance. And if out of 47, we are talking about governors, just 9 of them, I think in a way, the anger of people that, governors will dominate this thing, I think he found a way to deal with that.
Some people
he could have, in that state, from Cross River, for example, he could have chosen the man notorious for speaking big grammar now.
Ayari?
Yes.
Yes.
When he chose the woman.
Yeah.
So we cannot, yes, people say, Nigeria will change this and Nigeria must change, and they see these governors as not representing change. But Asiwaju is someone who is never afraid to retool his cabinet. In no time, if he sees that some of them are not performing, change them. These are early days. He needs stability. And he needs people like El-Rufai who fought for him when some of the governors were in bed with Atiku. We know governors who refused to work for the ticket. We know them.
And they lost their states ultimately.
They refuse to work for the ticket. So, but at the end of the day, if we say they lost their state, there are some people who work for a ticket, but they still lost. Yes. We know some who did not work for the tickets, they still lost their state. But there are some who worked for the ticket and were still defeated. People like Lalong. He worked for the ticket, but he was well defeated in his state. Because what can he do where the people chose to vote on the basis of religion, for example? You know, this is not a matter for a day like this, but I think that why not being Asiwaju's spokesperson? That's not a job that I want to do for anybody. I know that he was trying to balance things.
That's what I see, so.
Yeah, because when you say they don't reward, he has to reward some of this.
Exactly.
They stuck their neck out for him. They were the ones who went to confront the president and Mr. President. When did you decide, sir, that it will be Ahmed Lawan?
When the former chairman was playing funny.
Yes, I thought you told us that it will be a level playing field. They had the guts to go and meet the man.
Exactly.
And the man said, no, all of them, let's then go and contest. There's no way an Asiwaju will forget that role. You look at someone like Wike. Some people
made it happen in Rivers.
You know, Asiwaju, for example, is happy with Otom, but people don't know. Otom, by backing
Obi, yeah,
helped to smash Atiku's votes. People will not see that. So there are many things that politicians do.
Think that many people average
and as long as they smash that vote, it helped APC to win that state. So a lot of those governors, they may not have won their state, but in a way they played their part, and he is obligated to reward them. It's the man from Yobe that I don't understand how he got on the list. I won't ask Asiwaju questions. It's his choice. When he fails, or if he fails, let me not say when.
No, when. If
I would
he fails.
suggest that.
Hopefully he doesn't.
If he fails, he's the one that Nigerians will confront. It's not me. So he's duty bound to own the choices that he has made. He's the one who has to own the choices that he has made. And most of the time he's right. So let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. But when you see those guys, those techie guys, they're on this cabinet.
They are there, yes.
What class doctors based abroad.
Exactly.
They're on this cabinet.
Nephrology.
People like Pate, what class physician. They are there. So we need to look at some of the things that the man has done, some of the choices that he has made, rather than just focus on this politician. I know that those politicians are killjoys, but in this cabinet, I've seen some people that I'm really, really impressed.
The Alausas,
yes. Now I did. No, all of
that. Yeah.
Paul Dada, thank you. BQ, thank you. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. Join us this Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzuma.
sometimes it's the story that calls. At other times, the people.
The All Progressives Congress now has a new chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje, and former Senate spokesman Ajibola Bashiru is now National Secretary of the ruling party. They both emerged at the National Executive Committee meeting of the party today on the 66th day of President Bola Tinubu's administration. We're monitoring developments closely in his first 100 days in office. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thank you for joining us on the program. You can share your comments on Twitter or is it X using the hashtag first100 days. Remember to tag at TVC News NG and at Nifemi Oguntoye. Well, the new national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Ganduje, says internal democracy would prevail in the party during his tenure. He also promised to hit the ground running to ensure victory for the party in all forthcoming governorship elections across the country. The meeting was attended by President Bola Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, governors of the All Progressives Congress, as well as chieftains of the party. In his address at the NEC meeting, President Tinubu says he will continue with efforts to deliver the promises of good governance to Nigerian people. The president, however, insists the 2023 election was the best in Nigeria's history.
It is our responsibility to promote unity, stability, and love among ourselves. And we must deliver on our promises. I brought before you the renewed hope to fulfill your dreams and the dreams of our founding fathers, to be sure that Nigeria remains the focal point of our foreign and domestic policy.
Also, President Bola Tinubu has constituted a delegation that will go to Niger to further hold talks with the coup plotters and further pressure them into reinstating the democratically elected government of Mohamed Bazoum as president of the country. This is coming about 48 hours to the ultimatum handed down to the landlocked West African country by ECOWAS to restore constitutional order or continue to bear the brunt of harsh sanctions imposed on the country that also include an option of military action against the coup plotters. The delegation is made up of former military president General Abdusalam Abubakar, former vice president of the winner of the 1993 presidential election, Ambassador Babangana Kingibe, as well as the Sultan of Sokoto. Delegates on their way to Niger in a last-minute effort to convince the junta to change their mind and restore the democratically elected government. Let's speak with our State House correspondent who joins me live from the presidential villa. Femi, the ECOWAS defense chiefs met in Abuja yesterday. Is it clear what their resolution is after the expiration of this ultimatum?
Hi, Femi. It is not clear what their resolution is, but one thing we know is that they are meeting so that they can put a force on standby if it comes to the last resort, which is the use of force in Niger Republic. Then it will be easy for them to deploy troops, either boots on the ground or however they intend to deploy troops to Niger Republic to tackle the coup plotters, force them out of government and reinstate the democratically elected government of Mohamed Bazoum in Niger Republic. It's just for them to ensure that they are on standby. And that meeting they had yesterday, it was attended by the defense chiefs of all West African countries with the exception of Burkina Faso and Mali. We know that these two countries, the democratic government in that country was also toppled by military coup plotters. So far they have been able to rally around the forces within the West African region, within ECOWAS, to put them on standby ahead of or awaiting directive from the chairman of the ECOWAS heads of states and government, President Bola Tinubu. That is when he determines the next line of action. Ifemi.
Femi, you spoke with both General Abubakar and Ambassador Kingigbe. How optimistic are they about their assignment to Niger?
Well, they are keeping hopes alive. They know it's not going to be an easy task convincing coup plotters to relinquish power, people who appear to already be settling into government and enjoying the whole perks of office as president or military president of Niger Republic. But what they are trying to do now is to explore the diplomatic option. President Bola Tinubu is juggling many balls in the air at the same time. While the use of force, the military action is on the table, he is also sending different envoys, one by General Abdusalami Abubakar and the Sultan, Niger Republic, where they have said that they will not abide by the directive of ECOWAS. They are also in support of the coup plotters in Niger. So the president and indeed ECOWAS is trying to get Algeria and Libya to their side, and also, that important Maghreb region, to ensure that, well, those ones ramp up security around there and also prevent the coup plotters from using those borders to transport arms or just ensure that they perpetually remain in government. Nifemi.
State House correspondent Femi Akode live for us at the Presidential Villa. Good to see you, Femi. The question continues about whether or not cost and benefits analysis have been done by the Nigerian authorities for, the short, medium, and long-term implication, especially under the current financial problems Nigeria is facing. There's also the refusal to reimburse Nigeria's efforts in Sierra Leone and Liberia in the past. Will Nigeria be able to fund a possible war with the Niger Republic as others in ECOWAS cajole to lead and, as usual, carry most, if not all, of the yoke? Those are the questions we'll be answering in the coming days. Let's get back to our coverage of what's happening within the ruling All Progressives Congress, where the party now has a new chairman and national secretary. Abida Lawal has been covering that story since morning. She joins me now live from Abuja. Talk us through the replacement process and the other offices to be filled within the APC. Abida. All right, earlier today, the National Executive Committee of the APC met with the President and Vice President in attendance. And, of course, a new national chairman emerged in the person of the former Kano State Governor, Abdullahi Ganduje, who is saying that, according to a submission today, that internal democracy will prevail in the party during its tenure. Recall that the former national chairman and secretary also resigned their position. Abida is back now. Abida, you mentioned earlier that NEC members were in disagreement with the amendments of the agenda. What really happened and how was that resolved earlier today? We shall get back to Abida when we can lay our hands on her, but let's take a short break. When we return, we'll explore the new 19-member list of Mr. President's ministerial nominees. Stay with us.
I, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear
Abida Lawal joins us live from Abuja. She has been monitoring that development within the All Progressives Congress. Abida, part of the agenda today was the zoning of national offices and appointment of external auditors. Walk us through that process and what was achieved.
Well, Nifemi, all positions in the National Working Committee of the party are elective positions. But this time around, we had there was a slight difference in the adoption and electing Mr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, who is now the APC national chairman, and that is the fact that Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu indicated interest in his candidacy as the person he wished to succeed the former national chairman. The National Executive Committee of the party adopted him right there at the meeting. And this goes to say that whenever the party is going to have its national convention, Mr. Abdullahi Ganduje is expected to be adopted properly by the entirety of the party.
Abida Lawal, we're going to continue this conversation subsequently, but if you can, in a minute, talk to us about the next phase for the All Progressives Congress now under this new leadership. Well, we'll get back to us subsequently. Let's turn our attention to what's happening at the Red Chamber of the Senate, where additional list has been read as submitted by the Chief of Staff to President Bola Tinubu, who has now constituted what appears a 47-member list of the forthcoming cabinet under his administration. Interesting names here indeed. 28 has been screened by the Red Chamber, another list of 19 sent by the President to the Senate, and the screening, we understand, is to begin on Friday. The list comprises of 5 former governors, 2 female nominees, making 9 female ministers designate appointed by President Bola Tinubu. And that's the figure you have on the screen. 28 have been screened, 19 yet to be screened. We have 19.1% of this list being women, and of course 9 former governors. Let's take a look at a few of them. 68-year-old Adegboyega Oyetola was former governor of Osun State between 2018 and 2022. He lost a second-term bid to PDP's Ademola Adeleke. Simon Lalong is 60 years old, former governor of Plateau State. He was Director General Presidential Campaign for the 2023 APC campaign organization. Like former Governor Oyetola, the APC lost to the PDP in the last election in the state. Bello Matawale is 54 years old, the 5th governor of Zamfara State. He lost a second-term bid as well earlier this year to PDP's Dauda Lawal. There's Tuji Alausa, Executive Chairman, Chief Medical Officer at Dialysis Care Center and Kidney Care Center, and he's also being touted as someone who is coming on board with a lot of experience in that regard. Let's get the conversation going on. I'm joined now by Victor Ohai, who is he has just been re-elected as president of Directors Guild of Nigeria. He was presidential candidate of the Providence People's Party in 2019. APC chairman, UK chapter, Tunde Doherty, also joins this conversation. Gentlemen, good evening and thank you for joining us. Let's kick started. Mr. Ohai, they say that President Tinubu now has the record for the highest number of ministerial nominees in Nigeria's 4th Republic. The past president had 43, in 2019. In 2015, President Jonathan nominated 33, including 9 from the Yar'Adua administration. Obasanjo started out with 40 before, reviewing it downwards. Fast forward to 2023, we have 47 ministerial nominees. What do you make of the increment in numbers?
See, I'm a little worried, and I'll tell you why. Apart from ministerial appointments for boards, parastatals and all that, CEOs of parastatals and all that, the president has over 6,000 appointments to make. So, there's still enough.
This is 6,000.
Yes, 6,000. I know that for sure. I knew that from before now. That, these are appointments that can be made across the board. So there's enough. Not to talk about ambassadorial appointments and all that. What it does appear to me is like, I don't know. Quite frankly, the new list does contain some highly cerebral people. I can see technocrats, even among the governors, I see people with some very sound backgrounds, which is, that's something that's good at identifying talents and all that, which is okay. But I think the number is a bit unwieldy. I don't know if you're going to create, if you're going to do minister and what do you call it now?
We're hearing that there's possibly the possibility of creating new ministries, breaking some down into more specific
I'm just
areas.
wondering why. You know, the cost of governance is just going to bloat. I don't know, maybe they'll just spread them, share them among that. But the truth is, as you create new ministries, they need new offices, they need new cars. So if you are going to get cars for 16 ministers, you're going to be getting cars for 47 ministers, and all of that. So, and of course, they'll be getting orderlies who will be working along with them, which will be further depleting the people who are available to do other normal place work and all that. But he may have his reasons.
Maybe we shouldn't get cars for them this time.
Yes. So
Let's bring into the Doherty, APC Chairman, UK chapter. Mr. Doherty, thank you for joining us on the program. So about 9 former governors and a significant number of senators and members of House of Reps made this list. Talk to us about, of course, former governors, by virtue of their experience, they are supposed to be a good fit, right? But what do you think is responsible for the mixed reactions, that is greeting this development?
Thank you very much, Tifemi, for having me once again. Let's give it to the President, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for living up to his promises about setting up ministers with competencies, national competencies. And we have seen that even in these new 19 nominees. It cut across all facets of our everyday life in Nigeria, be it the political aspect of it, be it political parties in it, be it gender, youth, and what have you. The thing is that Nigeria, the Renewed Hope agenda is a very voluminous, very strategic delivery that Nigeria is expecting. And you need all hands on deck for the implementation of this hope. And those that the president has nominated are, one, when we talk about the governors that made the ministerial nominee, mark you, before they become governors, they were one way or the other very successful individual in their various endeavors. Also, they have been in politics to understand the need of Nigerians to date. So also we have the younger ones that are in that list who needed, I would say, a kind of a guardian or mentorship, even though they are technocrats in their own rights and they are highly learned. Do you see the mix of the nominees that have been there for a long time, who have been loyal, partymen, been loyal to the cause of putting Nigeria in the front burner. So I see that the president is fulfilled his givens to Nigeria about the competencies in terms of his ministerial nominees, and we are assured that the implementation of all the agenda set out in the Renewed Hope is ready for implementation.
All right, I'm talking about being optimistic. It's just a matter of time to see, how well that we fit into this forthcoming position. But I can see you making some lists, Mr. Ohai. What names stood out for you? Because we have a very short time.
Okay, quite a few. I'm impressed that Bosun Tijani made the list, the CEO of CC Hub. So I can see some intentionality in the area of technology, IT, there, and innovation. I see that happening. And
he's also 46 years old.
Yes, born 1977. Then I see, along with him as well, I think, is it Lola, so what's her name now? I see 2 people there who will be fit for, well, this is just me talking, the president has his own. This is for
Lola Adejon.
Yes,
from Lagos.
I think both of them will be very good fit for the, if there's a Ministry of Technology or whatever, because Lola comes from banking, she has an IT background, has plenty of experience in the area of integration. Yes, exactly. So I see that a lot. And, we begin to see people like Tijani Maman, SAM, Professor of Law, former DG of Nigerian Law School. So you can see that he's bringing the cream of the various professionals. There's quite a lot. Miriam Shetty, she's a physiotherapist from Kano. and she has plenty of experience. So in the area of sports physiotherapy, I mean, she was part of the London Olympic team, and that treated a lot of people, including Usain Bolt and the rest. So you can see, like I say, a bit of intentionality in the choice of people. Even if you go to look at some of the former governors, there are people who, like he rightly pointed out, have come with a lot of pedigree. So if you take away their governorship on their own merit, they as well are.
But you can bet that if two of them had won their rerun election, they wouldn't be on this list. So there's also the political, calculation that fits them perfectly into this list.
No, I understand. My worry is that the number is wieldy. That to me, is like attempting to please everyone, which I think is totally unnecessary. Some of them will do very well manning some parastatals, not necessarily the ministries, because if you have them at the ministries, the parastatals, like what happened in the last, permit me to say, in the last administration, where the film industry, for instance, you had a medical doctor as the director of the Nigerian Film Corporation. Well, he's managed to fit in and all that, but I mean, if you want to work with professionals along the line, not. So that's
Mr. Doherty, we have just about 1 more minute to go on the show. There are about 9 former governors on this list. What's the peculiarity of having a former governor handle a ministry when you consider the fact that they need now to work with other individuals, even amongst themselves in the cabinet? What are your concerns in this regard?
I don't really have much concerns about that, because the governors are I believe they are well experienced, and they have managed a vast majority of individuals in various endeavors, and I believe they are going to bring to the fore those experiences in whichever portfolio they find themselves, and there will be a kind of guidance to others too, because most of them, they have managed states, they have managed resources, they have managed.
In addition to that, there are also political leaders in their state.
Yes, they are political leaders in their state.
So they are coming with a lot of political baggage as well. Do you agree?
Yes, a lot of political baggage, but definitely they know and they have managed such baggages while they were governors, and I believe that those structures that they have been using to do that are still very much there in their state, and therefore it wouldn't be of any concern to the portfolio that they are in, because their state, some of them still have their state intact within with APC, and some that has lost their state definitely would have a way to manage whatever baggage we're talking about here.
All right.
But they are very important in this administration.
We're counting on it, Mr. Doherty, but I'm afraid we have to go now. APC Chairman, UK Chapter, Tunde Doherty, thank you for joining us. Victor Hai, who was presidential candidate of the Providence People's Party in 2019, has just been re-elected president of the directors, remind me now,
Guild of Nigeria.
Guild of Nigeria. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the program. It's good to see you and talk to you on TV again. It's been a long time. Yes. All right, maybe tomorrow we'll look at the women participation on that administration. We understand that women have occupied only 13.73% of ministerial positions since 1999, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. President Buhari had 7 out of 43, making 16%. Now we have 9 out of 47. That's just about 19%. We couldn't make the 35% affirmative action again this year, particularly within the cabinet. But according to Mr. Ohai, there are 6,000 other appointments that the president will have to make. We'll follow that very closely as well. But that's our program for this hour. You can watch a repeat broadcast at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye, and I'm back at the top of the hour with more. Stay with us.
The TVC News at 7 and the TVC News at 10 are not like any other news broadcast.
It's the big news hour, the hour for the big breaking story.
Ignorance is the mother of personal destruction, a voluntary misfortune, and it is worse when you are ignorant of your ignorance.
You and Your Health with Dr. Richard Okoye is brought to you by Dr. Civil Life Foundation as he uncovers the mystery behind most deadly diseases, their causes, prevention, and latest treatment. Send in your comment and health-related questions. Together, let's liberate Africa from health ignorance.
Hear this, you are ignorantly awaiting the arrival of your wife's menopause. If you have low sperm count and ignore it.
Join Dr. Richard Okoye every Sunday by 3:30 p.m.
It's not your regular show. It's an online interactive session where I will share my views on the everyday issues that cut across politics, security, health, current affairs, governance, and so much more. I am passionate about our country. I choose to support any conversation geared towards building a better Nigeria. I am Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Join me every Saturday on TVC News YouTube channel as I discuss Nigeria and the world at large on the show, Issues with Jide.
Never miss a moment. Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere on your mobile or smart devices. Download the TVC News app today. Available on Google Play and Apple Store.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Hello and welcome to Tax Matters as we enter the month of August 2023. I'm Chamaka Ohauchi. Now that the Senate has screened ministerial nominees, we know that very soon we will have in place the men and women in charge of critical sectors of the political economic space in Nigeria. It was the legendary James Hadley Chase who used the phrase, "You got another think coming," in one of his iconic novels. If you thought we were going to hurriedly forget the story of the feat performed by the FRS in netting a whopping sum of 5.5 trillion naira in the first half of year 2023, then you've got another think coming. It is a feat indeed, and a spectacular one at that, one which cannot be forgotten in a hurry. The Executive Chairman FRS Chairman Joint Task Board, President Carter, has been speaking on the groundbreaking achievement. Take a listen.
Federal Land Revenue Service has collected the sum of 5.5 trillion naira from January to June 2023. This amount is the highest tax revenue collected by the service within the first 6 months of any calendar year. The sum, that is the 5.5 trillion, also means that we have collected over 100% of our mid-year target for the first half of the year, which is 5.3 trillion. In other words, we have been requested to collect 5.3 trillion, but we already have done 5.5, translating to about 102% of the target. This actually is a good head start for the service as we work towards meeting and surpassing the 2023 target. We achieved this, if you ask me, despite the stubborn headwinds that affected businesses and the economy in the first and second quarter of the year 2023. Such stubborn headwinds include, but are not limited to, 1, the impact of currency redesign on our economy, where for the operations of FIRS, we saw over 10,000 companies that could not file their VAT returns in March and April 2023, respectively. The second of such problems that we encountered in the half year under review include the impact of 2023 general election, where we saw many companies shutting down their businesses and leaving the country for fear of post-election violence. One, improved voluntary tax compliance by taxpayers. 2, the continued improvement of tax automation of our tax administration processes, including the recently introduced updated VAT filing return processes. And 3, our dogged engagement with stakeholders in both the formal and informal sectors of our economy. We expect ourselves to do better than this. In the second half of the year, we are very optimistic will be better, with the expected impact of the unification of exchange rates that Mr. President has introduced and directed CBN to do, which has now addressed issues of underreporting, that is, under translation of foreign currency tax collection by FIRS. In the past, because of the dual exchange rate or multiple exchange rate, our collections were always reported at the official CBN official rate as against the parallel market rate, so leading to understatement of our collection by almost 30%. I call on all Nigerians and taxpayers nationwide to continue to pay their taxes, as it pays certainly to pay taxes, because it's through the taxes that you pay that government is able to build critical infrastructures like hospitals, roads, that government is also able to provide social amenities, including water and healthcare services and the rest. And it is through these taxes that you pay that government is able to build beautiful schools, invest in our universities, build infrastructure, train teachers, lecturers, and all the tertiary institutions. And for government at all levels, whether you are the chairman of the local government or the head of the state and the results at the Federal Executive Council level, we request that you continue to judiciously apply this taxpayers' money to better the citizens' life, because when you do this, you are giving taxpayers value for their money.
Once again, congratulations to the FIRS. The reward for hard work, they say, is harder work. We will hold the FIRS to its words, to its promise to do better in second half 2023 and beat targets. We want to return to the Judges Interactive Training Conference jointly organized by the National Judicial Institute and the FIRS, which was held in Abuja on Thursday, 15th June 2023. And in doing that, we want to share with you the paper presented by Mr. Kolo Konla, Director Strategic Intelligence Data Mining and Analysis Department at the FIRS.
The absolute number of taxpayers in the tax net is currently very low. There are many companies and enterprises doing business, and they have huge financial transactions in their bank accounts, but they are either not paying taxes or they are under-remitting. The VAT automation program was conceived to mitigate this challenge, and the best way to expand the tax net is through automation. The value-added automation refers to the use of technology to automate the deduction and remittance of value-added tax to the VAT account at the Central Bank of Nigeria.
On the contribution of the VAT automation system to revenue collection, for example, at the inception of the automation in 2013, before commercial air tickets were exempted from VAT upon the issuance of an executive order by the federal government in June 2018, a lot was uncovered.
We started a pilot phase in 2012 with the aviation sector. There was an increase of 3 billion naira within a very short period of time. An airline that was paying 9 million naira per month started paying 300 million regularly every month when we went fully live in 2013.
There are other sectors.
The active VAT automation programs that we have done in FRS covers the retail industry, that's the big supermarket and hospitality, and the cable satellite TV sector, which have been automated already. If you buy anything from ShopRite, for example, you will see the receipt that shows FIRS with a QR code. And from my system, I can see all the purchases in all the ShopRite branches in Nigeria and how much VAT has been deducted. And those that are exempted, maybe basic food items. So VAT automation is all about transparency and accountability. It minimizes human error, enables timely and accurate remittance. So if you look at the statistics, anytime we do automation, we carry out an impact analysis before and after the automation. In this case, there was a taxpayer that was paying 2.2 billion naira before automation. After automation, it increased to 3.2. That was an increment of like 1 billion, 48% increase. We also have some other interesting cases. There is this case that was paying 17 billion naira, and after automation, it increased astronomically to 42 billion naira. That's 22 billion increment. That's 150% increase. Another example that is quite interesting is number 9, which shows before automation, this taxpayer was paying 350,000 naira. And after automation, it jumped to 3.3 million. It may appear insignificant, but little drops of water makes the mighty ocean. That's 999% increase. So this is economy of scale. If we are able to achieve automation nationwide, you can imagine, I leave it to your imagination, if all the transactions are automated and transparently visible to the tax authority.
On the legal basis for VAT automation,
Section 25, subsection 4 of the Establishment Act 2007, as amended by the Section 18 of the Finance Act, empowers FIRS to launch tax systems integrated with advanced technology to collect taxes automatically. So this section empowers FIRS to deploy proprietary or third-party technology to automate the administration process, including assessment and information gathering, provided it gives 30 days notice to the taxpayer.
On the protection of taxpayer information,
FIRS has attained the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation Compliance status. FIRS was audited by the National Data Protection Bureau, which was created by the NDP, National Data Protection Act. So we have been audited and we are compliant with the National Data Protection Regulation. Also, FIRS is ISO certified, ISO 27001 certified. In conclusion, the successful implementation of the strategic plan for the improvement of tax collection in Nigeria requires the collaboration and commitment of all stakeholders. The three arms of government, taxpayers, tax professionals, civil society organizations need to work together in order to achieve the objective of national development. It may also interest you to know that for the past 3 years, FIRS has been consistently contributing over 70% of the revenue that is shared during FAC. If we can automate fully, this utopia is achievable. It looks so far away, like a utopian vision. But if we are supported to achieve this, I believe that Nigeria will be a better country. There is hope for Nigeria.
Commendable efforts there by the FIRS. There is hope for Nigeria, and that is if we all join hands together to make things work.
Do you provide goods and services? Then you must answer these important questions. Are you registered for VAT? Do you charge VAT on the goods and services you provide? Do you keep records of all your transactions? Do you file VAT returns? Do you remit VAT collected to government coffers? If your answer to any of these questions is no, then you are breaking the law. The law demands total compliance. Therefore, you must register for VAT. You must charge VAT on goods and services. You must file VAT returns. And you must remit all VAT collected on behalf of government within 21 days to the bank nearest to you. To do otherwise is a crime punishable everywhere in the world. VAT is prescribed by the law. Do the right thing. Collect and pay VAT. This message is from the FIRS. It pays to pay your tax.
Welcome once again. Like law, like medicine, like nursing, tax practice is not an all-commerce affair. Tax practice is a regulated profession. The Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, was established in 1982 and was chartered by the federal government of Nigeria by the Enabling Act No. 76 of 1992, which charged it with the responsibility of regulating the practice of taxation in Nigeria. In fulfillment of this mandate, the CITN licenses persons desirous of practicing taxation and keeps a register of practitioners. On Friday, 28 July 2023, 126 persons were presented with practice licenses that give them the right to act as tax advisors. Dr. Titila Efowoko is the Chairman, Membership and Professional Conduct Committee of the CITN.
You have taken the responsibility to support the League of Taxpayers in bridging the gap between the tax authorities and running their businesses, and also to provide professional technical guidance on taxation matters. This tax requires commitment, it requires service, it requires professional expertise, technical knowledge, good interpersonal relationship with all stakeholders, especially the tax authorities, decision makers, policy makers, and even our staff, because they are the greatest asset that we have for any practice. We need to crown it all with integrity, and that's what we stand for as members of this institute and practitioners.
In his opening remarks, the 16th president of the CITN, Barrister Samuel Abelui, reeled out what the institute expects from the would-be tax practitioners.
Today's event is indeed remarkable and speaks volumes to the relevance that the Council of the Institute accords to ensuring that only qualified and certified persons practice taxation in the country. I therefore specially congratulate you all for meeting the requirement prescribed by Council for the issuance of practice license. You can be assured that by the end of this ceremony, you will join the growing list of professionals on the roll call of CITN, which entitles you to the practice of taxation in Nigeria. But before then, it is imperative that I reiterate what is expected of you as practitioner. Council expects you to refer always to the provision of the Institute's charter, the professional rules and practice guidelines. The Institute also expects you to hold in high esteem our core value, which is service, teamwork, excellence, and professionalism. The new president has said in his revenue, and we know his background. So you are coming on board at a very good time. There will be job to be done by tax practitioners in the country, but please sharpen your skill. So what the law says is what to do, and you need to pay attention to what the law says. So as a result of this, you need training and training over and over again. May I also sound a note of caution? The Institute will not fail to wield the big stick of discipline where there are reported and established cases of misconduct.
On the requirements and expectations of the FRS in preparing tax computation,
as we are aware, customized stamps have been introduced to be used by tax practitioners in filing tax return and to be affixed on all correspondences. Following the signing of the MOU between the CITN, ICANN, and NANA, this was done in May 2021. The Federal Inland Revenue Service on the 27th July 2022 issued a circular which standardized the mode of filing of returns by respective institutions. The FRS in the circular made it explicit that it will not accept tax computation included in any tax except it is done by a tax practitioner licensed by CITN. This is the law, this is the practice, no alternative to it.
3 papers were presented to further equip the tax professionals. And then, the high point of the event, the presentation of the would-be tax practitioners to the 16th president of the CITN for their oath of practice.
As at now, you are a tax professional. So after the issuance of certificate, you become tax practitioner. Mr. President, I present to you, sir, with your permission, the 126 members for your oath of practitioner on them to become a tax practitioner and representative of the Institute.
I do solemnly swear that I shall always comply with the provision of the Institute Charter, bear true allegiance to the Charter Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, obey all rules and regulations of the Institute from time to time, and in accordance with the Institute Charter and laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So help me God.
The tax practitioners were presented with their practice licenses, seals, and stamps. Congratulations to the newly licensed tax practitioners. We want to wrap up this episode by bringing you the story of the 7th edition of the National Tax Debate organized by the Tax Club University of Lagos, which was held on Tuesday, 27th June 2023. This is a yearly event put together for students from various universities in Nigeria, and we dare say these young ones are making us proud. The theme of the 7th edition of the National Tax Debate was Law, Policy and Administration towards balancing the tripod of taxation. We do recall that last episode, we brought you the story of the interactive training conference for justices of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal, which was geared towards bringing the judiciary up to speed with recent developments in the tax system. And we did emphasize that the tripod of taxation is made up of tax policy, tax laws, and tax administration. You will agree with us that there is the need to balance these 3 for an efficient tax system. Except
sometime in 2022, my mother sent a consignment of garri and some tubers of yam to me. So I left school for nature to pick them, and on getting there, to my amazement, some group of boys accosted me and said that I had to pay tax for the consignment. I was like, see me see wahala, tax? They said, yeah, oh yes, tax. And I was faced with the dilemma of either paying the purported tax or forfeiting my beloved garri and tubers of yam. In the end, I had to part with one of my Naira notes, that one that has the picture of Nnamdi Azikiwe. You see, that was tax touting. In simple terms, tax efficiency simply means tax administration that has less burden on the taxpayers and lower cost of administration. Every government needs money. How they get this money and who they get it from are two of the most difficult issues faced by any political economy. Countries like Georgia and Liberia are examples of low-income and emerging economy, which have made some of the largest revenue gains from tax reforms. While Nigeria has made some considerable effort in this regard, our tax to GDP ratio stands at 10.86%, which is a far cry from those of the US and UK, standing at 28.7% and 40% respectively. 13 years ago, Georgia's tax to GDP ratio was 11.5%. Presently, it is 25.9%. This is quite a pitiable situation for Nigeria, and it shows a deficient tax system. A good tax system is an interplay of the tripartite relationship between laws, policy, and administration. On top of our list, for the challenges bedeviling the legal sector of our tax system, we identify uncertainty and ambiguity of laws. Yes, it has been said and asked as a question here, what are the major issues or what are the perfect examples that are of what is wrong with our tax laws? A good example is the National Information Technology Development Agency Act. Under that act, the National Assembly failed to define what telecommunication companies are, and it created an uncertainty on the part of the FRS to effectively tax companies in the telecommunication sector. We have an infraco, and clearly the issue fell before TAT, before Tax Appeal Tribunal, as to whether an infraco is indeed a telecommunication company for the purposes of the levy under that act. And it was held in favor of INT Towers that they are not, as an infraco, they are not a telecommunication company. This uncertainty still traverses. Another point we should look at under legal challenges are the multiplicity of tax laws. Yes. The idea we do here is the fact that multiplicity of tax law creating taxes bears a burden on the taxpayers. It has been said for the often time in this presentation that Winston Churchill says, no nation can tax itself towards prosperity.
What many people have told us here today is that Nigerians' tax to GDP ratio has increased from 6 to 5% to about 10.86, and that is good. But what most people have failed to tell this crowd today is that even the FIRS chairman, Mohammed Nami, has expressed some form of displeasure over the current rate. As a matter of fact, he stated that one of the reasons why the current rate is what it is because of the leakages in our tax system and the inefficiency and the fragmentation of our tax system. But when we say fragmentation of tax system, what do we mean? We're talking about the fragmentation that cuts across the law, the policy, and administration. Take a look at the projector, the stand of the projector. Look at the lights on the stage. Look at the cameraman and the tripods. They will not be able to perform their duty efficiently if one of the legs of these tripods is problematic. In the same vein, in relation to taxation, the taxing powers and the efficiency of the system will not be optimal if one of the pillars of taxation is faulty. For example, in relation to law, there are some problems that stand out as to law particularly. One of such problems is the issue of clarity and contradiction that exists amongst the law.
It's getting interesting, isn't it? But this is all we can take on today's episode of the program. With the culture of taxation being imbibed by these young ones and their increasing knowledge of the Nigerian tax system, we are sure Nigeria will definitely find her place among other nations with good and vibrant tax systems. Let's keep supporting and encouraging our youths. Nigeria, now we all know. More from the 7th edition of the National Tax Debate will come your way very soon. Watch out for it. Thank you for watching. See you next week.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking it.
Sometimes it's the story that calls. At other times, the people just want to be heard.
School, I need students, but I need teachers.
Can't continue like this.
Their voices re-echoing through time itself.
We haven't done anything. If the tide is high, everybody run for safety.
Their tears leave a sweet sour taste for all their demands. A familiar call beckoning for change. In our world, no one expects a disaster to happen. But when it does, we'll be there to x-ray all sides, from the east to the west, north and south. Community Forum will examine the oddities and challenges to economic development, as well as issues yearning for government intervention. Watch fresh episodes of Community Forum on Sundays by 9:30 p.m. only on TVC News.
Business lives on the fast track of numbers. Business is a strange world where low numbers means something different. And its currency are speed and time. Finding the open doors of Main Street is not just good business, it's the start of the business. Join us every weekend on Business Week.
So, all in favor say aye. Those against no, the ayes have it.
What do you know about the legislature, its role in governance, and as one of the three arms of government? Lagos Parliament is here to bring it to you as it is. Here to bring you every detail you need to know about the legislature in Africa's most populous city. On Lagos Parliament, you get a chance to meet the Lawmaker of the Week. Events are critically reviewed. You can also observe plenary in Yoruba language. I am Abimbola Agbebi. Join me every Friday at 9 p.m. as I take you through the activities of the legislature.
It's always a great morning on the TVC Breakfast Show.
Thanks for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
With the array of stories that matter and what's behind them.
As they say, the first blow indicates the direction of government.
Tell us what really is going on between your union and the federal government.
Once it's generated, you have to use it, it's waste. We are not even sure whether we have a strategy for security.
Are you saying that there was nothing wrong in that?
Was he the one driving the taxi?
Answer the question.
Refill your morning with all you need to know.
Like
yes, just mundane lyrics.
Yes.
How does that fit into your scheme of events or duties right now?
No chief of staff, no general has the right to call a governor to order. The governor has been elected by his people.
Start your day right, because this is the breakfast show that adds to your breakfast. TVC Breakfast, weekdays at 7 a.m. only on TVC News.
The TVC News at 7 and the TVC News at 10 are not like any other news broadcast.
It's the big news hour, the hour for the big breaking stories.
We've got some of the best reporters on the field,
taking you through as it happens.
It's fast-paced, hard-hitting,
with investigations that matter,
bringing in news that affects your life,
with sports, entertainment, and business news, so you don't miss a thing.
Experience resourceful coverage with depth
every night.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
This is TVC News at 7, and here are the stories we're monitoring this hour. All Progressives Congress National Executive Committee elects Ganduje National Chairman Bashiru as Secretary. UNICEF to work with Northeast states to increase school enrollment. Donald Trump to appear in court to face federal charges in 2020 election case. Super Falcons resume training ahead of England clash in Australia. We'll begin this hour in Abuja, where the former governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, is now the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress. This happened shortly after the National Executive Committee of the APC elected him. The party's NEC also elected former Senate spokesman Ajibola Bashiru from Osun State as national secretary. The meeting was overseen by President Bola Tinubu. Habida Lawal was there.
The appointment and the election of His Excellency Abdullahi Umar Ganduje as the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress APC, and Senator Basiru Ajibola.
The new APC national chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje, is not a stranger to politics, having been a member of the APC since its formation stage in 2013. The decision by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to settle for Abdullahi Ganduje may not be unconnected with his desire to have someone who is on the same page with him as the national chairman of the party.
There's always an opportunity in any adversity if you look at it carefully. The party is in your hand, but let's redirect this party. Let's show the rest of the country that we are a party united for a purpose, and that purpose, development, progress, and prosperity, will not forgive us if we fear of that path.
Out with the old, in came the new. The 6th APC chairman takes the oath of office.
I will devote myself to the service.
Abdullahi Ganduje, the new national chairman of the APC, in his acceptance speech, promises to promote party unity and internal democracy.
We must unite our members to achieve support for our government to respond adequately, urgently, and assertively.
Chairman of the APC Governors Forum, Hope Uzodinma, as a matter to note, placed a vote of confidence on INEC and the